not because someone doesn't want her to talk to us. But we can now, we can now speak to Annie Machon, who is there in, I don't know where you are, Northern Ireland? Somewhere, Dusseldorf, sorry.
No, I'm in Germany at the moment.
Oh, right, OK. Annie, lovely to talk to you. Just first of all, what do you make of the fact that you've got the head of GCHQ, head of MI5, head of MI6 in public, in front of our eyes?
Well, it's a historic moment. They've been around for 100 years, and this is the first time we've been able to hear, we the people, what they're trying to do to protect our national security and how they're trying to do it. So it is interesting, and it's about time that this sort of oversight was in place in the UK, because for 80 years they didn't officially exist. The last 20 years there's been some minimal oversight from the ISC, and it's nice to see that finally they're getting muscular in the face of a sort of overweening NSA surveillance infrastructure, which has gone global.
Annie, let me just take viewers back, because you quit. You left to become a whistleblower. Is that kind of broadly right? You were unhappy with the way the organisation was being run?
Yes, I resigned in the late 1990s along with my former partner, David Shaler, who became quite a notorious whistleblower, to expose a whole series of crimes and incompetencies that put British lives at risk and actually threatened our national security. And because there was no meaningful oversight channel to go down at that point, we literally had to go on the run and blow the whistle.
Do you see Edward Snowden as just carrying on the same sort of reservations that you had?
I think he's following in the path of not just us, but many other whistleblowers, particularly in the US at the moment. There have been many, many NSA whistleblowers coming out over the last decade, expressing concern about the encroaching global surveillance state. But I think what we're looking at now, the major problem is that our oversight laws that are supposed to rein in and ensure the spies obey the law are 20th century. And now what we're seeing, of course, is that those 20th century laws are incapable of overseeing 21st century tech, which is the global internet. And that gives the spies an unimaginably vast capability to snoop on all of us. And once they can do that, we lose any sense of privacy. And once we lose privacy, we lose the freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience, freedom of association. So it's very fundamental. It's a very fundamental question to how a modern functioning democracy.
OK, I hope that your picture was just breaking up a tiny bit, and I'm really hoping that it carries on working. Annie, where is trust in all of this? Shouldn't we trust the state to look after our best interests? And does it behove us well to ask too many questions about what the state is doing in our name?
Well, those would have been very good questions in the 1930s in the encroaching Nazi Germany, indeed. How much trust should we put into the state? Once it seizes power, it's very easy to brutalise and to threaten and to watch a nation's people. And this is the balance. It's not a debate between liberty and security. It's about privacy, because if we don't have privacy, we can't have freedom of thought and conscience and speech. And if we don't have that, we don't have democracy. So, of course, in Britain, we have a lot of trust to our spies. And many good people do go and work for those organisations. But with the modern technology, I think the balance has been out of kilter over the last decade. And we've certainly seen that as well with the sort of prosecution of the war on terror, both the US and the UK, with extraordinary rendition and torture and illegal wars and everything. There needs to be a proper, mature debate around what proportionality is available within a modern democracy.
And do you see that today is a sign that actually the security services recognise that not only do they have to do this with the consent of the people, that part of that is that there has to be oversight, and that this may become a growing pattern, that in the Western liberal democracies you will see more oversight over what intelligence services are doing?
Well, indeed, in most liberal democracies there is indeed much more oversight compared to the UK already. The UK spies are being dragged kicking and screaming into the notion of oversight. They were very unhappy about having any sort of oversight with the Intelligence and Security Committee when it was founded in 1994. And the ISC has not been fit for purpose for the last 20 years because it only looked at policy, finance and administration. It could not look at operational concerns. Now, of course, these new powers, now, of course, they're beginning to probe. But the remaining problem is that the appointees onto the ISC tend to be the Prime Minister's approved list. What we need is a proper parliamentary committee, which is elected by parliamentarians, that can represent the people's interests when overseeing spies. Otherwise, they will just run amok, as they've been doing over the last decade since the war on terror started.
OK, Annie Machon, thank you very much indeed for joining us there in Germany. I should just say, kind of sorry, there were a few glitches on the line there, but it was pretty clear.